Welcome to the Same Day Podcast, where we discuss driving incremental business growth and other topics related to real estate, property management, and entrepreneurship. Now to the show at hand.
Matt Zalk here. I'm the host of the Same Day Podcast, where I connect with top business experts and real estate leaders. Past guests include Vondell Burns of Thankless Productions, Chip Gabrino, a local real estate entrepreneur and restaurateur, and Brooke Reuter, talking about contract for deed versus lease to own properties. We've also had Elliot Nelson on from McNally's Group discussing community development through restaurants, bars, and commercial real estate. Today's episode is brought to you by Chris Lyle State Farm. Chris Lyle State Farm helps you protect your most precious assets and investments, whether it's your home and auto, investment, rental properties, or other valuables. Call Chris Lyle State Farm for a quick and painless phone call to potentially save double digits on all of your insurance needs. Visit diallyle.com or call his office at 918-878-7771. Today's episode is also brought to you by Keyrenter Property Management, your same-day property manager. At Keyrenter Property Management, we are a full-service property management company helping our clients buy, renovate, and operate real estate assets. We help our clients build wealth while taking the headache out of property management. No matter what rental you have, single-family homes, condos, townhomes, apartments, we have the management solutions you need. Go to keyrenterpmc.com or email us at info@keyrenterpmc.com. Today's guest is Curtis May. He's the host of the Practical Wealth Show podcast and the creator and owner of Practical Wealth Advisors. Curtis has been planning for individuals for more than 35 years, and he's passionate about helping his clients save money and live the very best life they can right now. Primary focus of his financial planning firm is to help individuals and families become financially free by following the principles of wealth creation that have endured for centuries around the world. Curtis May, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing great, Matt.
Curtis, I wanted to say you and I share two very important things in common. One, we both love our wives very much. And two, we both have 3 daughters.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yep.
If you were to give your daughters advice, and I'm sure you have, about planning for wealth creation and for creating financial freedom over the course of their lives, what 3 principles would you start with? Or what principles would you start with?
So it's funny. I just had this with my 12-year-old who's running out, says, she wants to move money from her savings on the green light back over to spending so she can go up to the mall. I was like, so you're not saving to spend, right? You're saving just to be saving. So, it goes back to I give them richest man in Babylon. Part of all you earn is yours to keep, right?
Yeah.
Manage your cash flow and then learn that one of the principles I'm trying to teach my oldest right now is that she's like, Dad, I need a raise. I was like, well, money is a result, right, of creating value in the marketplace. So don't wish it was easier, wish you were better, right? And then what are you doing to make yourself better so you can command more income? Because this generation is like, it's like going up to a fireplace. If you give me heat, I'll give you some wood, right? So so they do it in reverse. I'm trying to help them understand here's where money comes from, right?
Yeah.
And so you don't create value first. Money's the result of capitalism and exchange. So those are type of things that money's a result. Save is a principle, just to be saving, and because, and what we can do this later, but good financial planning is not investing. It is preparation. I don't even let them do their 401ks yet. I says, you don't have any money. You don't need to start with a 401k. So opt out. Okay. I'm not going to let you do that.
Interesting. So let's talk about that for a second.
Mm-hmm.
You'd rather have their money in savings via, I guess, a savings account at the bank, a CD, or how? Instead of a 401k.
Yeah. So no, 401k is not a savings plan.
What is it?
It's an investment plan. See, that's a mislabeling from Wall Street. Save for your retirement in a 401k. Okay. So when I talk about savings, let's define it: safe, liquid, accessible, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Okay. So now most people are way too illiquid. So people come to me and I want to invest. This one called me yesterday. I want to invest. I was like, oh, tell me what you got going on right now. She didn't have it. I mean, they don't have like $5,000 in the bank. You want to invest because you think you're supposed to invest. Investing is most people think their goal is to find better investments that pay a higher rate of return. So they're always chasing returns. Mm-hmm. Okay. So to me, if you don't have 90 days of liquidity, And I really want the full story of my principle 4 is 6 to 12 months of liquidity.
Mm-hmm.
See, because if you don't save, you don't have money to invest.
Yeah.
Right. Because most people think investing is mutual funds, the stock market, and 401ks. And I don't. So if you look at so I gave you my definition of saving. So investing is, so I'm paraphrasing some of, what's his name? I'm sorry, you got to get these out. Warren Buffett's mentor, Benjamin Graham, right? An investment is something on which, upon thorough investigation, you put your capital, you have safety of principal, and a reasonable opportunity to make a profit.
Yep.
If it doesn't fit that definition, you are speculating. So most people are speculating for retirement. Truth be told, if you use that definition, right? That's not the definition that a fund manager or a wealth manager will give you, but their business model is based on AUM, assets under management.
Yeah.
So it is, right, you know what I mean? It's not to make you rich. That's not their goal, is to make you rich. Their goal is to lock your money up for 30 years and hope the stock market goes up. So I think too much of typical planning is based on hope. I hope this, I hope the S&P gets better. I hope, because you can't control it.
Sure.
It's all backdating and assumptions. I'm biased towards certainty and guarantees. So I start with savings. And then what we teach are the 3 rules of investing. Sorry, I'm out of order. The 3 rules of investing are investing what you know.
Mm-hmm.
Because investing is not about buying something. It's more about becoming something. You have to become a good business owner. You have to become a good real estate investor. So that takes study. That takes practice. That takes time.
Right.
Right. How are you thinking? And so you got to invest in what you know, or invest in knowing. 2, invest in what you can control. What can you influence the outcome of? Does it generate cash flow within 90 days of you owning it? Okay. And because, are you investing for capital gains, or are you investing for cash flow? Cash flow is what makes you financially free. So you have to decide, really, to begin all this, is what do you want to be when you grow up? You want to be debt free? Not really. Debt free is not financially free. Okay. It's not even my top 3 things that you should be worried about, honestly. Right.
Yep.
And then maybe 4. Okay. And then do you want to, does it cash flow? See, because when you look at your personal economy, 401ks aren't designed to cash flow.
No.
This to tie your money up to your 60. And even then, it's hope you have enough money so you don't run out of money before you die.
Yep.
Right. But what if you could buy a house, a rental property, a turnkey property, an apartment building, 1 a year for the next 10 years, or 2 a year for the next 5 years? To me, that's a better plan than trying to get, $1 million, $2 million in a 401k. So I try to partner with people that, once I kind of awaken them to a different way to look at their money, that's not I'm the defensive coordinator, right? So the expertise is offensive people that'll show them, okay, I've got you saving. Here are the 4 asset classes: business, real estate, paper assets, and commodities. You need to find, like on my show, all I'm talking about is here's things that, well, not all. They'll talk about how to be the bank, right? Which is a place to store cash. And then, but a lot of times I'm talking to people with syndications and, different stuff, because I want people to know there's other stuff that exists outside of mutual funds. Now, some of this, you got to get your money up so you can be a credit investor, but that's going to drive you, because your number 1 investment should be in between your 2 ears, focusing on production. How do I make more money? That's the other thing I focus on. How are you going to make more money?
Let me ask you, let me take one step back real quick, though.
Yep.
What are the vehicles for savings when you're talking to your daughter, for example?
So
what are the vehicles for savings, and how much should somebody be saving?
It's only like 4, right? Savings accounts.
Yeah.
Money market accounts.
Yeah.
CDs, which I don't like, but CDs is a savings vehicle, and cash value life insurance, which I have them all do. Those are savings. So that because people, what they do is I don't get any rate of return. That's not the goal of savings. The goal of savings is access to capital.
Yeah.
Right. And so people are too busy chasing returns, but I got a high yield savings account, or I'm getting XYZ on the S&P. But that's an illusion. right? Because mutual funds do not earn compound interest,
Mm-hmm.
right? What do? They go up, they go down, they appreciate, and they depreciate. So when you see a number represented as my fund did 12% this year, that's a rate of return. That means you started at X amount of share for shares, and 12 months later it's worth Y. And then if you work backward, that equates to a 12% rate of return. That is
Mm-hmm.
not an interest rate, and it is not compounding. So a lot of times people don't, and what I try to get people to understand is what I call the financial physics. How does money work? See, we study going to work for money, but we don't understand how money works. So we tend to give it away. We transfer. There's more money lost in, like, everybody's chasing rates of return, but there's more money lost in what we call wealth transfers, which are money moving from your asset column to somebody else's asset column, right? And so what you have to do is, and to tunes of hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars over your lifetime of money that you were unaware of, that you're just giving away, taxes you were paying that you don't
Sure.
have to pay, right? Paying extra on your mortgage, 15-year mortgages, sending in extra pay, all that's complete waste of money in this monetary environment. I had a client, she called me, she said, I want to pay off my mortgage. I said, what's your interest rate? 2.75. Really? You can't find anything better to do with your money where you can make more than 3%. Then you will.
That's a very common one.
Yeah, so it's basic stuff, but you got to look at where that information comes from, right? So if you're looking at what you're taught to do, buy and hold, dollar cost average, put money, you're in it for the long haul. But if you look at it superimposed, like look at a T and look at corporate finance, so they don't do that. They focus on velocity of money.
Yeah.
Right. So velocity in real estate's the Burr method. Velocity is, you look at Mr. Wonderful. What does he want to know? If I put money in my deal, how soon am I getting this money back out?
Yep.
And he still wants the money in the deal, but he wants off putting his money into some other thing.
Yeah.
That's velocity. That's not even a product. That's just an economic principle.
Before we get to that, though, how much should people be saving before they are?
They should be. We teach them to save 15 to 20% or more of their gross income. Hear me, guys. Gross income. So you make $100 grand a year. Curtis wants you. So let me give you the whole tactic thing they can walk away with. So one of the things that we teach is we teach people to open up a checking account, interest-bearing checking account you're not using separate from your bill money. So we show people how to segment accounts. We have a program called our cash flow mapping, but we create a wealth coordination account. Okay. So it goes there. The purpose of it is don't come back out unless you're doing something to make money with it. Okay.
Yep. Interesting.
And so I want you to build a month, 2 or 3 of emergency capital, and everything above that is for you to make money with, right? So what you do is, savings is not a willpower thing. It has to be automatic and systematic. So if you have a job, go to HR and set up this account and see if they can put either a dollar amount or 15% of every check into this account. And you live on 85.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll be amazed how much money you'll have. And you'll and if you got to go back there, you have to, maybe it has to be 10, because we have to go back into your money and increase your net paycheck. That's really what I do. It's like go back and I help people find the money, but you've got to start out and make a decision. Part of all I earn is mine to keep. That's right from the richest man in Babylon. And then that needs to be, because I don't care about rate of return. It's not going to stay there. I'm just trying to get you to capitalize and build up some money so that when you see something that you like, you have between your money and maybe you get some good debt, debt that makes you money, and is your down payment, and you borrow money for everything else, but you have to have capital. There's no such thing as no money investing.
Yep.
Okay.
So when is it appropriate for somebody to invest or put money into a 401k or whatever their preference might be? Not everybody's going to buy
let's
into
go back to what my
Some people are going to be told.
So they've got 90 days. So you got to decide if you want to be a real investor or you just want to let someone else manage your money.
Sure.
Okay. So you got to. So it goes back to, what do you want to be when you grow? So my clients want work optional lifestyle. So, and the people that we work with, business owners, real estate investors, they know they can make their money make more money than S&P.
Right.
right? So everybody else is like, you've been trained, you don't have time, you're not smart enough, you don't have the time to temper and train and manage your own money. So give your money to us. That's basically the language, right?
Right.
And put it in this thing and hope the market goes up and defer. But I really mean postpone your taxes. Okay. Because you're not saving money on taxes, you're just deferring it. You're postponing them and hope. And I ask people when they say they're postponing, do you think that in the future will the government need more money or less?
Right.
All right. So it's a bunch of other stuff with that. But I would say fund to the match.
Which means on the 401k.
On the 401k.
If you're going to go with that. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you've got, like, if you're putting in, like, if you don't have, let's say I talk to somebody and they don't have like $5,000, $3,000 saved up, but they're putting 15% in the 401k because they've been told they're saving for retirement.
Sure.
Right. I want you to have money. You need, because if you don't have any money, the first time you have a big ticket item or what are you going to do? You're going to go into debt. So now you're spending money you've not yet earned because you put too much money out of your control. Right. So it's an order of when you do stuff. Right. So I want him saving. And then, like, to me, investing, if you find a side hustle that you want to do, that's your first fastest path to cash is build some type of cash machine of business. Right. And but if you're an employee, because so let's say, all right, you can say 50% up to the match. Okay, go ahead and do that. But you need to have access to capital, because what you want to do is invest in your own business, your own ideas, your own side ventures, because guess what? The tax code favors that. So I know I'm jumbling up a lot of stuff because you gotta understand the game. See, there's two games. So I was listening to Tom Wheelwright. There's two tax codes, and Laura Lamar also. There's two tax codes, one for the poor and uneducated and one for the rich, right? Or one for landowners, one for business owners. So you've got to decide which side of the cash flow quadrant, if you look at Kiyosaki's book, that you want to play in. And you can be in all four, but the people that the code tax is designed for is the BI side. Look up cash flow quadrant if you don't know what I'm talking about, guys. And you've got to see the world. So one thing I teach them is I said, listen, when you're getting this advice from your professors, from your whatever, I was like, look, I would draw out the cash flow quadrant. So where's their advice coming from? Are they on the ES side or the BI side?
Yep.
And they're on the ES side, right? Well, I grew up, my dad was a business owner. I'm a business owner. So my whole worldview is on the BI side. I signed in front of the check.
Yeah, that's the question. Do you sign the check or cash the check?
Yeah, right. I wanted to sign a check. My dad told me you never make any money work for somebody else. I heard that from the time I was 7. So I never got that go get a good job talk.
What was your dad's business?
We had a supermarket. So I'm from Philly. We had a supermarket, Mays Market. Meats are better, prices are lower. I mean, that was on our side. We delivered. My dad was delivering in 1975. So all this Instacart stuff, you should be able to call into our store, and we would put it in the cart, and then you pay for it, or we would take it to you, pay for it. This is like mid-70s. My dad was doing. And then we were in the tavern business. So this is where the gray hair. If you see my gray hair, I got gray hair. I was in the bar business in the hood, where you could get robbed at gunpoint, 2-3 times a year.
Wow.
I wasn't there because I didn't bartend, but I had to deal with it. So it's stressful.
Sure. So you're talking invest. So once you have your cash in savings, then it's appropriate to invest in a 401k, or preferably something that is actually going to spit off cash flow in the first little bit, not be locked up.
Yeah, I mean, you can start with a 401k, like if you were, I would put, let's say you're all employees. I teach people to be the bank, but let's say I would start with up to the match, and then I would, if you had nothing else better to do, you know how to do it yet, then I would do a Roth.
Got it.
When everything's past the match.
Which still locks up your money for a good portion of time.
Yes. Well, so I don't love that stuff. I'm just giving y'all stuff for basic people that are listening to this. Because you want access to money, and you want to be able to, because people say, what should you invest in? No one answer in yourself. Right.
Start
in your
business,
knowledge, in your
start a business, or develop something that
but invest in your mindset, right? Mindset, skill set, network, right? So what do you read, watch, listen to? Masterminds, getting around people, that kind of stuff. And then your skill set. So money comes from solving problems for others. So when you don't make enough money, that means you don't have enough skills or you're only thinking about yourself, like if you're thinking about solving or helping the government solve their problem of safe, clean, affordable housing, so now you're focused off more than your residents, you're helping provide housing, and then you'll get tax breaks for doing that.
Right.
Right. I want to help families teach principles that help them become and remain financially free. Right.
Yep.
So that's a service and how to be the bank. So they get interest moving towards them rather than away from them. So if you're in business, what does your business do? Right. And so if I can focus on serving more people, Curtis makes more revenue, so I can save. And then I'm going to invest in what I know. So what do I know right now? My business.
Yeah. And the bigger the problem you're solving, the more you're likely to get paid.
Bigger the check. That's right. Bigger the problem, bigger the check.
So if we switch from employees to business owners, for example, or away from people that are trying to start a business or trying to solve a problem, get paid, but now to people that actually are solving a problem and are signing the front of the check, as you say, what is typical bad financial advice, and why is that bad if you're a business owner?
Well, it's bad because it's designed. So think about your business as the engine, right? That's the engine that's creating cash flow for your lifestyle, for everything. So what people do, I have a PowerPoint on this, but I want to kind of think through the PowerPoint so I can make it visual. And it's called putting it all together. So you've got two engines. And so one engine, so typical advice has you send that money to 401ks, profit sharing, cash balance plans, and it's stuck there.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's a one-way ticket away from your personal or business economy. Okay. Yeah. So that's the problem. So because you're sending your money to some fund manager you've not met and hoping the market goes up, you're deferring taxes, you're tying up your money. And so what I found for me and for business owners I talk to, they, if you put $1 in business and you make in marketing, for example, and you make $2, what's that? 100% return. Well, where are you going to get that at anywhere else? Right. So, J. Ram says you got to look at your business like a little hedge fund. Right. And so let's say, for example, when I really started to think about this, I hired my first virtual assistant. So I was like, I'm scared to death. I don't know if I have enough work for her. I got to add more payroll. And so I set aside a couple $1,000s. I said, okay, I'm going to start this and I'm going to use this. Hopefully I'll earn wherever I set aside to cover this first month or so of salary. Yep. But that investment of just them working my unconverted leads, literally within 60 days, tripled my activity and doubled my revenue because I was just seeing more people. She managed my calendar, she set all the appointments. So I got out of a lot of busy work I was doing that made me more productive.
Yep.
Right. So that's what I mean by investing in your business,
as opposed to taking that money, that couple of $1,000s, and putting it into the S&P 500.
Yes,
right.
Absolutely. Like I invested 10 grand in Mastermind, where the guarantee was if we don't help you, what do you say? If you don't make $250,000, we'll give you your money back.
Wow, what Mastermind is that? Is that for financial planning?
That was what was in the financial planning one of the software I used, but it was something like that. That's what I heard, right?
Yeah.
And so it wasn't quite, it was maybe like 8 grand, but it was a big check for me.
Yeah.
At the time. Yeah. And guess what? I did make it, but I made like 220, 25, something like that. I was like, we're good, right?
Yeah.
And so what I learned, and it was a 1-year thing, and you would go to Atlanta, and I'm meeting with all these great advisors, and I realized, okay, nobody does their own apps. They all have assistants. Like I just started to see a better, not even just what we're learning, just how to think differently, their thought process, who they targeted. It was really helpful for me. So I've never gone backwards since then. You know what I mean? And every year our revenue's gone up, but I had to invest in my knowledge. And so the business owners, you need liquidity available to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And, or invest in your marketing or invest in operations, because what moves the needle in a business is marketing, sales, systems, and people. Right. Yeah. So if you can invest in that, I'm a big fan of, I'm actually working on a course on this because I've been teaching it to people informally. There's 3 ways to grow revenue, right? So, you get more customers, you increase your conversions, you can increase your customer value, raise your prices, frequency, joint venturing, right? Without spending money on advertising, without all the stuff you think you have to do. And then a fourth one is retention, adding membership, adding whatever. And so if you said, okay, if you saw your business as a little hedge fund, people have got leads they don't talk to, they don't follow up, if they don't buy right away. It's so much low-hanging fruit that you're going to lock money up in something where you could double your revenue in 6 months. That's what I mean. So it's just, but what happens is, unless you get with somebody that thinks that way, that's in business, it's all, I mean, because there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying, it depends on who you work with, because if you met me 25 years ago, I'd have been trying to put you into a SEP. I'd have been trying to, help you set up a 401k plan. And because that's what I was trained to do. Our goal was assets under management. I made commissions off of, off of the mutual funds and that kind of stuff. And that's what I'm selling. So when people are doing AUM, they're not doing anything wrong. But to me, you have to be more sophisticated as a business owner and say, I need access to capital. So when I use, like, one of the things I use, Matt, is infinite banking for, it's just a place to store cash, right? Where do you store your capital, right? And so our clients borrow against their permanent insurance, and then they can borrow it. So the money is still in there making money, but now they can reinvest it into, down payment for a property.
So let's talk about infinite banking. So somebody is a business owner, they have enough liquid savings to make investments in the future. They have,
and the policy is part of that liquid savings. That's where you should store, past like a month or two, you should store it in policy.
Okay. And so let's take that aside for a second. They've invested in their business to the point where they've got a VA, they're touching all their leads, they're potentially even doing additional marketing to grow in your hedge fund concept. Now they start putting money into a whole life policy. You consider that savings? And is that from day one, either, or from day 90, either cash flowing, or is it accessible? Is it liquid?
Yes. And yes. It's accessible, liquid, and so I do a similar model on business. When money hits your account, profit first. We have a little bit of adjustment to that. And so if they all read profit first, I say 15% of my gross revenue of our business.
Okay.
For me, separate from me running payroll, that's business profits, right? And then I set aside 15% of my gross revenue for taxes to go into a fund I label tax. So at the end of the month, I sweep both of that money in those checking accounts into policies.
Okay.
So when let's say I got a tax bill for, this is not even $20,000, let's say, well, I'm not going to liquidate my savings to transfer my wealth to the Treasury Department, right?
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'll take a policy loan, put it back in the, so I'll make sure I'll fill up the policy, or I'll pay down a loan outstanding. I'll take a loan, put it back in the account, and then I'm going to write a check to the Treasury Department. Okay. So now they're happy. I still have my money because all I did was collateralize my money. So it's still in there earning money, interest, and dividends. And then I will just create a payback plan to the Bank of Curtis, pay down the loan, and then in 6 months, I'll do it all over again, right? And so at the end of the year, see here from Rich Dad's Poor Dad's, right? From chapter 3 in Rich Dad Poor Dad, is mind your own business, which is your asset column. So when money hits your account, I don't want to ever let it leave, right? So I store it in cash value policies. Well, it's still growing uninterrupted, but I can collateralize it. Other people's money, the insurance company's money, I don't use it for every little thing. I use it for major capital purchase, which I define as anything you can't pay for in full within cash flow. So vacation, a car, my kids are about to go to a $3,000 summer camp, that kind of stuff. And so I'll just add a payment plan and recapture it, or I'll use it I'm ready to use it right now to invest into a marketing program with one of my clients. It's, that kind of stuff. So I want to keep it all in house.
So your 15% is your profit above and beyond payroll to yourself. 15% is a tax account that you're sweeping every month. You now take $20,000 from your infinite bank, from your whole value, whole life policy. You pay the Treasury. Where is the money coming back to repay yourself for that?
Out of cash flow. Like I have to add it to. That's why I see infinite banking. People think it's about life insurance. It's a system of money management, right? Okay. So it's about, banking is just a concept. It's right, creating a pool of money that you control. right? Because when you look at the players in the play, there's the saver.
Mm-hmm.
That's me paying the premium, right?
Mm-hmm.
That 50%. There's the banker. So right now for y'all, it's American Express or it's Wells Fargo, not American Express, Bank of
Chase Bank, Bank
America.
of
Yeah,
America.
anyway, any commercial bank, right? That's
Yeah.
the banker. And then
Yeah.
there's a borrower. So most of us control two of those. We're either the saver or the banker. So what we teach people is we create a separate account. And then when you take a loan against your cash value, you put it in a money manager account. And then all right, I need to go to a business expense. I need to go to whatever. But when you take a loan, you have to make provisions to pay it back.
Yeah.
Right. So if I buy an asset, let's say you buy a property, then it's like back in the days, do 80-20 loans, so you're the bank, you own, so you can get the money from the insurance company at 4, you should charge yourself like 6 or 8 and create an amortization schedule. So now your money's still making money. You've recaptured the profits you have given to a third party institution, and you didn't cheat yourself by not charging yourself retail. Right. And let me stop there. Go ahead.
But so that $20,000 in the tax payment, for example, the idea would be to just put that into a whole life policy. And then almost immediately, because you've over the past 2 years, 3 years, you've been building that whole life policy and paying premium, you put that in there and then you almost immediately pull it back out.
Well, let me correct the language. This will give a wrong, you're not pulling it back out.
You're borrowing against it.
You're borrowing it, but that's an important distinction, right? Because they think, why am I paying interest to borrow my own money if I pulled it out? It's still there.
Yeah.
Right. Growing, uninterrupted compounding in a tax-free environment or tax-favored environment. So now I've paid off that, because if you didn't have the money set aside, so think about this: if you saved up 20 grand and you just paid the tax, boom, how much is in your account? Zero. But here's the other part that business owners, this is where business owners give away at least $1 million to $3 million because they don't understand opportunity cost.
Yeah.
Okay. And so because you took it out, the money is keeping compounding forever, infinitely. It's not working for you, because so if you borrow, let's say you could get you heard Rule 72?
No, the compounding rule every 72.
So take your interest rate, divide it 72, tell you hold on. So let's say you could get 7%, just for round numbers. So your money would double roughly about every 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So as an investor, if you could get 7, 10, 12% cash on cash, that 20,000, it's gone, but it's not just gone. That if you could have earned, you gave up the opportunity to put that money to work, right? So then it's 10, and then the 10 is, or the 20 is worth 40, then the 40 is worth 80, infinitely. And that's just one decision. So you do that every year, right? And so what if you could put it in a scenario where you get to use it, but now you can reduce or recover the opportunity cost because your money never stopped working. And then all I do is to say, okay, look, I set this out. I'm going to create, I'm still putting new money in the account. And then I'm creating, all right, here's how I want to pay it back. And then I just add the payback as an expense in my operations account or in my personal account. Or if I did an investment, then I would, the bank, you just like you buy a house, you got to pay the mortgage company.
Yeah.
Right. But you own the bank, but you need to set aside a budget, because if you can't pay the mortgage payment, that means, or the car you want to buy, you can't afford it. Okay. So you have to be, that's what I mean. It's a money management system. It's not like you got to be able to make provisions to add that to your spending plan to recapture money. But so from an accounting standpoint, it's the same money, except for you control that pool of money. So you're paying down your line of credit against your money, so you can turn around and use it for something else, but you just keep it in-house instead of transferring it away to third-party capital, never to be seen again.
Are there tax benefits to doing this?
Yes and no. So we're talking about life insurance, guys. So life insurance predates the tax code by 100 years. So it's not a creature of the tax code, right? So think of it from a tax standpoint like a big Roth with more benefits, because premiums are paid or after-tax dollars, but once they're in there, unless you do something majorly stupid, it will never get taxed again. You can screw it up. That's why you got to learn how to do it. You got to set these things up by somebody that knows how to do it, not that somebody thinks this is a gimmick.
That's overpaying your account so much that it becomes an annuity, and then you get tax code?
Yeah, because what happens is if you don't understand this, it's called the MEC limit.
Yeah.
If you MEC it, the policy out, modified endowment contract, the IRS treats the money like a retirement plan. So you got
Yeah.
all of the same penalties of a 401k.
Yeah.
Sometimes people, this is the why I don't love this strategy. People sell the idea of tax-free retirement, and then they'll start taking money out, take via loans to get retired tax-free. But if you haven't funded it properly correctly, and then your premium is, because the cost of insurance, and so this is universal life, is going up, then if something screws up and you've lapsed the policy, that you owe all this money is taxable.
So you got to really be making sure you dot all your I's and cross all your T's when you do
Right.
this.
And so what if that you got it from a person who's part-time and they're not there 6 months later, and you got this thing set up and you're funny, and they didn't really understand what they were offering. And so that's why my preference is whole life, because I never have to worry about, like, everything in is guaranteed, right? So I don't have to wonder if this thing's going to work. Is it going to do what I said it's going to do? Because I show you in black and white. Here, you do this, you get that. And so what I want to do from a savings, remember, safe, liquid, accessible, guaranteed.
Yeah.
I want certainty, because you're not going to people still think it's investing, right? What they don't count is, well, all right, so if you borrowed, here, case in point, I had a client, he couldn't find any properties, real estate investor, had about 5 properties. He couldn't find any inventory. He's here in Philly. So I do a call. We have something called Money for Life Club. So I'm always challenging our people to make money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we were talking about rental cars, Turo and hire car.
Mm-hmm.
So that came up. I was challenging, well, name 10 things you can do to make additional money. I always focus on production, right? And so he heard it, and he had heard about it, but he didn't get all from our call, but it sparked interest. He realized he had a friend that did it. So I saw a loan come through. He borrowed $8,000 against one of his policies. And he bought a 2010 Nissan Sentra for $6,000, put it on the hire car app for $38 a day, was rented out 2 days later. And the guy kept it for a month and a half, but I just been averaging out, if you average out 25 days a week, is over $900 a month. We use part of that cash flow to pay back the policy loan.
Yep.
Then he turned around, and about a month, 2 months later, he bought a second one. So now he's got just under $2,000 a month of cash flow.
But he didn't have before.
Right. They didn't have before. So it's new money, a new business he started. Then he learned how to, one of the people on our calls wanted to partner with him. So he let him rent out his car. He had another friend he's renting out in joint venture with 2 other people, where they're splitting the money 50-50. And he's got like 5 of those. So he's generating over $3,000 a month. Now, that's not illustrated anywhere on a life insurance illustration, but that's $36,000 a year in new cash flow because you had access to capital.
So let me ask you this. If a lot of our investors are working a full-time job, they're W-2, they view real estate as a way to get either out of their full-time job into a side hustle, or save, have equity in a home by the time they retire. So when somebody pays off a 30-year mortgage, they now have the full cash flow from that property in 30 years, and they can retire on the cash flow from the 10 houses that they bought, et cetera. If they have not thought through a whole life policy that they can borrow against, do you think debt is a good way for them to scale their investment, or should they focus on saving whatever they can, then putting all that, whatever, having the liquid for 3 months or 2 months or whatever you said, and then starting their whole life policy and build that up to the point where they can borrow against it and do it then?
No, you need to use debt. Okay. You're not going to listen. Debt, rich people use debt as money. Okay. So all that, I'm gonna get out of debt, I'm gonna try to pay off my mortgage, that's nonsense. Okay. You need to use the bet. See, now here's the thing: you got to borrow money to make money, right? Because it's not debt, it's liability. See, debt is spending money you've not yet earned. You're using future earnings as collateral. That's how we define debt. Okay. So when you take a loan against a piece of property, and that's a liability against an asset, and then the tenants is paying that back. So if you had $100,000, I would get take 25 grand and get 4 properties and get a mortgage for the rest of them, right? And
Would they?
You have no leverage.
Would they borrow against their policy if they had a policy to use the equity component
if
that the
they
bank
had
will
enough
require?
money? I'm assuming you're starting out, you don't have enough money. So use other people's money. So what I use, so here's how I do that. Most people need to use other people's money, right? And so when I look at the policy, I look at it 2 ways. I said, first of all, you want to borrow, you want to be able to borrow out of opportunity and not out of necessity.
Yep.
Okay. So banks loan money to people that don't need it, right? So if you showed you got a, 25, 50, $100,000 in cash value, you can take a screenshot of your app and use that as proof of funds, right? You could use this collateral, but I would still, and so maybe, if I don't feel like because you can take a loan, you can get the money in a few weeks, not a few weeks, let's say a week or so to get the money from the insurance company. And then you have an unstructured payment, right? So you don't have a payment plan. So if you got a deal and you don't want to pay for it till you finish the, refurbishing it or whatever, or you pay it off out the cash out. So you don't have the structure, right? But so that's why I like to have it. Or stuff goes sideways. If you use other people's money, you got money to get them out the picture, and then just, you give yourself a bank holiday till you finish.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why I use it. But when you're starting out, you need to use other people's money. So you need to get your financials together. So you show that you're saving, you've got money in the bank, you've got your credit score up. You need to be a good steward of your money so you can use because it takes a minute to save up 50 grand, 100 grand, but you can borrow it in 15, 20 minutes or a couple of weeks. So you want to use other people's money, and banks will loan you money to do real estate. So it's leverage, because if you want to buy, this is the other part with equities, right? So if you want $100,000 worth of stock, you need $100,000. Like there's no leverage there, right? And so, or saving up, paying cash, there's no leverage there. Right. So if you want $100,000 worth of real estate, what's the answer? It depends. Right. At least like 20, 25%. But if you know how to raise capital, or, how to, as you work on your knowledge, you get to a point where you don't have to use any of your money in the deal. And so that's why I say investing is about becoming, like, as your knowledge goes up, your risk comes down, because you just have so many extra strategies of where you can solve your money. So that's why I say invest in what you know, or invest in knowing. And so let me stop there. So that's the thing. You're not trying to get out of debt. It's okay to use debt. Matter of fact, his preferred way to use it. I was watching this video with what's his name, Kim McElroy and Kiyosaki on their private jet. Oh, we're $10 billion in debt, but they're they got cash flow over and above what the debt cost them. So, all right. And then it's from a tax standpoint, debt is not earned income. So it's, if you cash out and you pull out $500,000 off a refinance, or $100,000, that's tax-free money.
Yep. Let's talk for a second about
not giving tax advice. Okay. Do
your homework on that. Talk to your CPA.
Yes.
What's a wealth coordination account? How can people use it?
Wealth coordination account is just a checking account that we use as a place to, like, put that 15 or 20%, right?
Okay.
It's a place where you put the profits off of the real estate. So let's say you have real estate portfolio, and you want to keep a certain amount in the real estate account to cover, like, we just had to do a hot water heater, right? And so $1,500. And so we had enough in there to cover that. But past having an emergency capital, I take those monthly profits, I put them to the wealth coordination account, and then I flow them into my life insurance.
Got it. On the life insurance side, whole life insurance, how would one define how much they should be putting into a whole life insurance policy? Maybe on a monthly basis, on an annual basis. Some of it is defined by the death benefit, and then others defined as the MEC limit, as you call it.
So you got to give somebody else how to do it, like me. Shameless plug.
How would people find you, by the way?
They can go to our website, practicalwealth.net, practicalwealthsolutions.net, practicalwealth.net, or I'm on YouTube and IG, and I'll give you our free report where you, at the end, when we connect. But so first thing is 2 parts to that question, right? So the first thing that we solve for, this is a principle. Our principle we teach is maximum protection. So I solve for so let's say you're 42, you make 100 grand a year. you can have, I'm not saying you should have, but you can have your annual income times 20.
Okay. $2
Right?
million.
So you want to buy your net worth. So we solve for that with term. So the goal of term is what the most you can get for the least amount of money.
Okay.
Convertible term. That way I know your future is bigger than your past. So that allows me to ramp up your system.
Okay.
So what I try for when we work with people is, let's just use a round number. They're making $100,000 a year. I want them saving $15,000 through their wealth coordination account. And then I try for people, depends on their situation, because you can do lump sums, but I'm just starting from scratch, monthly or annually. I want them saving 10% of that 15% through a policy.
Okay.
Right. And then we solve for what's called minimum non-MEC. So I'm going to build it, literally solving for how little insurance you can buy up to the government rules, and then have most of it go into the cash value. So you have early cash value where you don't have to wait 3 years or 5. I heard it's expensive. I heard it takes a long time to build up. None of that's true. That's from people that are just selling you standard whole life policies where you don't build up any cash right away. They don't have the right riders. It's got to be properly structured, dividend paying whole life with a mutual company. So that's the whole, if you're going to use the right product, and then you got to have the right person that's, kind of qualified to kind of teach how to do it.
So in your example, 100,000, 15,000 goes to the wealth.
Right. So savings, right? Out of the 15.
To the wealth coordination account. And then 10% of that 15,000 or $1,500 goes to the
policy. So I pull it out of that account to pay for the premium. Because see, what people want to start with the policy, what I do is, it's a little bit of an extra step, and I'm probably more conservative. What I want to do is I want them to exercise what I call their pay themselves first muscles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so if they have a job, I'm going to say, okay, well, $15,000 a year. Well, how do you often you get paid? Bi-weekly. So let's divide that by 26, which is like 576. Can you save 576 a pay? Right. So now you've proven to yourself that you can do this. Yeah. And then I'm saying, all right, you still need to have ATM money. So I still want money in the bank, but we're now going to transfer it to a better storage facility, permanent life insurance. Long range is a better place to store your cash, because all it is a saving strategy. It's not any deeper than that. It's a money management system to control the banking function in your life, but you have to capitalize it. So, which means you have to put the money in. So you gotta stamp on your forehead. Part of all is right from the rich man Babylon. Part of all you earn is yours to keep. Spend less than you make. Like if you can't, like sometimes I have to find that, because if I can't find that, I won't let you go any further.
Sure.
So we fix that.
Sure.
Sometimes I don't let people do the insurance because let's give you some term. I'm not convinced you're saving enough money yet, and you don't have any money. So I want you to get a month or so in the bank. Like, you need to have ATM money. So I don't really just throw people into a policy.
Yep.
So that's why I put a financial planning wrapper around IBC. So I teach people to save, protect, build legacy, build liquidity, and focus on velocity over accumulation, which velocity is now you have capital, buy or build assets that send you a check. I want him out the rat race, Matt, in 10 years or less.
Yeah. Very interesting. Curtis, in addition to the Practical Wealth Show, which is your podcast, what other podcasts do you listen to stay abreast of everything that's going on in your world?
It's funny.
Anything else that
I listen to, so I was just Keith Weinhold.
Yeah. Get Rich Education.
Yeah, Get Rich Education. I was listening to him this morning. I listen to the Dan Kennedy podcast, and I'm a member of the magnetic marketing community. So Russell Brunson.
Yeah.
Because I'm really in the marketing business. That's what I understood. That's what helps me be successful. And then I like Wealth Without Wall Street, which are two advisor friends of mine that do IBC that I like. So it's a couple people that I follow that, I like to see what they're doing. Wealth Without Bay Street, which are a couple of great guys up in Canada that do IBC that are friends of mine. And so I like to see what they're doing. I like to make sure I'm doing it right. People that I respect, make sure I'm not going off of some tangent. This is the way Nelson would do it. And so most of it's around marketing. There's another one I like, The Black Entrepreneur Blueprint by I want to call him Jay Wright because of Villanova. His name is Jay Jones. He's out of Philly.
Yeah.
But it's called, The New Black Wall Street. So it really talks about like not social media, e-commerce
Yep.
business for, people in the African American community, where you can, be really for a couple $100 really build nice income. And so those are some of the, I've probably like 8, 10. I'm a nerd. I like 8, 10 shows. I like Laurel Langmeyer. I'll listen to her sometime.
Do
And
you generally promote the book What Would the Rockefellers Do?
I do. So I know Garrett.
Yeah.
So it's on his book, matter of fact, is on my resources page on our website.
Cool.
So I might be going to, I just got back from another trip, and there's a mastermind in Denver he's going to be speaking at. And I'm like, I don't think I have time to go to this because I got to take my daughter on some birthday trip at the end of the week, and I can't go away. And so it's a lot. But anyway, sure. I've been to stuff. I've got all of his books. And so I'm a big fan of Garrett.
Yeah. The concept there is you build the trust. Remind me here. You build the trust, and the trust is a beneficiary of the life insurance policy, so that you can have more
so
confidence.
That's later on. I mean, the Rockefeller book is another way. He says what I just says. He calls it a wealth capture account. You save money first. And so what happens is, so part of, like in my program, Maximum Protection, we're adding trust to that. And so initially the trust, the insurance, the beneficiary of the life insurance is the trust.
Yeah.
Eventually you can have the trust own the life insurance, but it's going to fund the trust. So one of the trust things they do is every generation, like you can get life insurance on a child like days 14 or 15 after life. So once you have a social security number, you should apply for insurance, right? Whole life. And it doesn't have to be, it can be $200 a month. It could be $500 a month. The key is you got to have more insurance on the parents than you have on the child, like at least 50% more. So if you don't have a lot, you can't start, well, I think the insurance will be cheaper on the child. That's not how it works. You got to,
because then there's a moral hazard associated with killing your own children.
Yeah. Okay. That's what they think. I mean, it's still insurance, right? So we're talking about strategies, but the insurance companies are the product manufacturers. So there's certain rules that go along with that. But, just actuarially, you want insurance on the oldest people, right? Because, people do die. And then what you want to do is you can leave a tax-free benefit. What the trust do is allows you to control your money from the grave. I've got several attorneys I've viewed on trust. So what happens is, for my show, I've got experts that really talk about this stuff. But what happens is, a lot of people hear like bits and pieces of stuff on IG or whatever. Oh, I want a family trust. I want this and that. And bill, like, you don't have any money yet. Can you rub two nickels together, right? Trust costs $5,000-$10,000. I mean, so they're what? Oh, they're not ready for that yet. Some of you are, but it's a process. Estate planning. It's a process because all planning, like if it's written on paper, it's wrong from the time the ink is dry, right? So you've got to have a thought process. What I try to do with principle-based planning is give people a thought process around money, because my job is to help them understand how money works. It's not to put them in investment. Good planning is really more about protection from downside risk, right? So it's to prepare, not to predict. So last time I checked, ain't nobody got a working crystal ball. So I want to protect you. You got to save, right? You could, and then what can happen to you? You could die, you get sick, you get sued, you can have a fire. You got to, that becomes before investing, protection.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to, I got to invest. No, you don't have any, you don't pay yourself first. So you don't have the habit of part of all you earn is yours to keep, right? And so you think you get this home run and I can do, no, you need to do it on your little bit of money you make now, because your number one asset is your ability to earn income. So you need to save part of that. I'm really kind of hardcore this stuff, Matt. So
I love it. I love it. I love it. Richest Man in Babylon and What Would the Rockefellers Do? Two great books for
Become Your Own Banker, bro. No, like if you're gonna work, if you want to call me, you have to have read that, because I teach that.
Become Your Own Banker.
I could teach from I like what's his name? What is the name of the Rockefellers? Garrett.
Yeah.
So I like Killing Sacred Cows. He's got a new one, Disrupting Sacred Cows. So I like all his stuff. So I could teach from that. You brought me that book. I could say, all right, go to chapter 3, and because I want you to think. Like, I don't want you to do stuff as Curtis said, do it. I want to be able to have a conversation, because I need you to, if there's so much financial noise out there, I need you to have a philosophy.
Sure.
Jim Rohn says most people don't have a money problem, they have a philosophy problem, because you don't have a plan, you don't have a philosophy, so you're out chasing stuff, every little shiny object, rates of return thing, as you can see, because you don't have an overall philosophy and plan for financial freedom, which is passive income, greater expenses. And so when you're looking at like the 401ks and stuff, you got to ask yourself, well, what is my goal? I want to become financially free in 10, 15 years or less. Well, how does a 401k help you do that?
I love it. Curtis, you're a wealth of knowledge. We appreciate you being on. Today's guest, Curtis May, is the host of the Practical Wealth Show podcast and the creator and owner of Practical Wealth Advisors. He's been planning for individuals for more than 35 years, and he's passionate about helping his clients save money and live the very best life they can right now. Primary focus of his financial planning firm is to help individuals and families become financially free by following the principles of wealth creation that have endured for centuries around the world. We are so grateful that you came on the show, Curtis. Tell me one more time where people can find you if they've loved what you said today.
So I'll give you, go to practicalwealth.net and just click on, I have a tab to become your own banker or join me. It'll take you to our calendar. You can also, here's a gift I want to give you guys. It's a book I have. I'm big on liquidity, right? So I have a free report called The Value of Liquidity. So why is it important to have money? And so if you will text Be the Bank, so all caps, all one word, BETHEBANK to 55444, that will take you to that report and we'll send you that out. You'll be on our mailing list. And somebody may call you, may or may not call you to see if you want to talk to us. So.
If your VA is doing his or her job, then somebody will call you.
Yes.
Love that. Curtis, thanks for being on the show today. Appreciate you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Same Day Podcast. Tune in to a new show each week and be sure to subscribe to get future episodes.